And hello and welcome. Thank you very much for joining us today on the Gamer Social Club Weekly News Podcast. I am your host, as always, Harry Glenn Jones, aka Neighbors Crayfish. And joining me, I have again no empathy, always daggers. It's Lady V. How are you, V?
I'm very well, thank you. I'm feeling particularly non-empathetic today after writing lots of stuff for the site. I've got a sore wrist, but apart from that, I'm fine.
Yep. Yeah, absolutely. A bit of carpal tunnel kicking in, I'm sure.
Yeah,
Can't have that. Won't be able to use your daggers properly then. And of course, making up the trio today is Mark Pell, aka We Woken the Hive. Mark, how you doing, buddy?
Hey Harry, hey V, good to be here. I'm all indied out after being in London Games Fest last week, so look forward to chatting a bit about that and everything else that's been going on. So good to be here.
Absolutely. Indie is the theme of today's podcast, I think, just judging on what has happened today, but also what we wanted to cover from the weekend, of course. If you are new to the podcast, if you've stumbled across us, hello, welcome. Thank you for being here. We hope you enjoy your stay. We are the Gamer Social Club. You have found one of our videos on our YouTube channel. It's easy enough to find the rest of them. Visit the channel and you can find a whole host of other stuff that we do, mainly the news podcast, but we occasionally do put out guide videos and things like that. The Gamer Social Club is predominantly a website where we cover gaming through news, reviews, previews, editorials, guides, interviews, anything and everything that we can possibly do, all through the filter of no rumors. We do not deal in that sort of stuff. We keep it clean. We don't want to get bogged down in hearsay and the rumor mill and things like that. So what you get from us, we like to think is going to be a nice kind of pure cut material. You don't have to worry about, oh, is this actually the case? No, we don't like to talk about it unless it's real. So that being said as well, obviously we do quite a lot of different stuff on the site, so it's always worth checking that out. On this podcast, we tend to cover topics that we maybe haven't been covering over the week, or things that are related to the site that you otherwise won't see. But we always recommend checking out the site for all our content there. And of course, if you enjoy this video today, clicking the like button always helps us. Leaving a comment, give us some feedback, tell us you think what's going well, what you'd like to see changed, all those sorts of things, even just some questions about stuff back, behind the scenes or about the topics that we shared today. We'd love to hear from you. And of course, subscribing to the YouTube channel is a big help, and it means that you'll get all of these videos popping up in your feeds and all the rest of it, which is great, hopefully. And of course, if you want to follow the site, we are also on social medias, or well, I think most of them by now. We are on Twitter at gamer_s_c. And then we are also on Threads and Blue Sky at just Gamer Social Club. You can search for us there and you'll find us. The three of us are also on social media. You can find us pretty much, I think, by our respective names on most social media platforms. But there will all be in all of this at the end of the day, all of this blurb, that the rigmarole, as I like to call it, is down below in the description. So anything that I've missed out will be there, and anything that I've garbled over will also be down there. So that out of the way, what we like to start with normally is, if I remember correctly, catching people up on what we like to have covered recently, basically. Also, did I mention off the top what day it is that we're actually recording this? I can't remember. I sped through it quite quickly.
no, you didn't.
No, we are actually recording this on a Thursday, a day later, on the 10th of April, 2025. So yes, a day later. We wanted to try and get all four of us together. I know we normally have Adam as well on here, Adam Stewart, aka, oh no, not Addy. But he is currently busy, still getting through Atomfall. He's giving it the proper, putting it through its paces for its review. So kudos to him, but also some personal stuff that he needs to handle, and that's absolutely cool. So the three of us are going to obviously carry on today and cover what we did over the weekend at New Game Plus, part of the London Games Festival, which Adam was also at, as well as a bunch of other topics and things like that. But to start off with, what's everyone been playing? Mark, what have you been playing?
Cheers, Harry. So a lot of my gaming time for the last week, and people who've been listening to the podcast will probably know by now I'm a bit of a Call of Duty nut. So a lot of my gaming time for the last week has been the return to Verdansk in Call of Duty Warzone. So that's taken up a vast majority of my gaming time. Also today, finally got an hour worth of South of Midnight, which I think we'll talk a bit more about later, and also dabbled in Blue Knight, the Blueprints. Sorry, getting the name
Blueprints. Wrong. Yeah, absolutely.
So yeah, that's been my gaming week really. It's been largely absorbed by Call of Duty. So yeah.
Excellent. No worries. Yeah. Obviously, getting excited for all the Byzance action. I can understand that. What about you, V? Have you been hitting the war zone as well, or have you been doing other things?
No, I've been continuing to play quite a lot of 33 Immortals, which I feel is also maybe contributing to some effects of carpal tunnel. I have seen a lot of conversations in the Discord and their subreddit about remapping buttons and people sort of asking for the accessibility patch a little bit earlier, because if you're not familiar with the game, you do have to mash the attack button. And if you are like me and you main the daggers, you're going to have a pretty sore thumb. And I'm kind of concerned that I'm going to break my controller, and it is a custom controller. And I would really not like to not be able to use it anymore because I have completely destroyed the X button on it. But yeah. I also got some South of Midnight in, just a little bit. Caught up on that yesterday, which we will talk about later. And I've been playing a game called Rosewater, which is a little indie point and click game that I won't talk about too much, but it's a lot of fun. A little bit different from some traditional point and click games in that there's quite a lot of different ways to solve certain puzzles, which makes it like quite interesting. But there will be a review for that coming up on the site pretty soon, so I'm not going into too much detail on that.
Very cool. That sounds good. I like the variety we always bring to the show between all of us, which is nice. Yeah, again, I have dipped into 33 Immortals here and there throughout the week as well, trying to keep up with V as best I can. But you know, what can I say? She storms ahead. I'll always be able to hold that I got the second area boss before you. That's the thing I'll be able to hold.
You're gonna tell the listeners why that happened.
You know what?
I don't think it was a skill issue on my part.
I'm going to reenact the Captain America old man meme and just say, you know what? No. No,
definitely wasn't. Yeah, definitely wasn't due to a game crash or anything.
No, exactly. It certainly wasn't because a game actually crashed on her. I crashed her console or anything like that. Was it on console, PC? I can't remember exactly. But yeah, you were unfairly removed from the game.
Yeah. I feel bad. I was like cheating you on in the background. The game wasn't even working for me. Now I'm being slandered.
It was good having you there because it was touch and go there a few times. We were being whittled down steadily, and it got to a point where I was like, I don't think we can dish out the damage. But anyway, enough 33 Immortals chat. What else have I been playing? I have actually also been playing. I believe yes, it's out now, so I can say I've been playing Commando's Origins, which has been a real blast from the past for me personally. I grew up playing the originals on the PC back in the day, and so getting the chance to play this new version of it, brought up to date, but keeping to the traditional real-time tactical sort of style of those games is really, really cool, and I've been really enjoying it. It's tough as nails. They always were. That was very much a thing that they had in their sort of description and their summaries from people. But my goodness, yeah, like you got to have patience. You really do with these games, and I'm okay with that. But yeah, there are some times when you're just left there on the same bit for about 15 or so minutes. You're just like, how do I do this? And sometimes it's just through sheer brute force or luck. And hey, that's just as prevalent, I imagine, in a wartime scenario as your skills and your tactics. So it feels really good to play it, and I'm looking forward to getting a review out for that down the line. But yeah, I'll have more to say on that for the time being. So yeah, other than that though, been playing another game for review, which will be coming out. It's under embargo as of right now, so can't say anything about that at the moment. But yeah. Other than that though, been sort of course, like I'm sure both of you have been kind of trying to reach out and get in touch with a lot of developers that we got to meet over last weekend. No, last Friday. Sorry, not the weekend. On the Friday, at New Game Plus at the Museum of London for London Games Festival. So the first event, I think, kicking off the festivities, as it were. And we are back here to now tell you all about it. V has also written up a fantastic sort of opening article to kind of get people familiar with New Game Plus. It is actually a new event this year. It's the first time they've held it. So it's new to everybody, developers who are involved, the team who obviously set it up, us, and you. So it's a great way to kind of get an understanding of what to expect, I guess, if and hopefully New Game Plus happens again in the future and you decide to maybe go and check it out. Very reasonable pricing. Obviously, actually, the majority of your costs would probably come from just being in London, honestly. No, the event itself is very, very affordable, I think. So yeah, but we had a full day there. We covered, I think you estimated about 50 of the 70 odd games that were at the event. V, is that correct?
Yeah, I think between us, and not just on the hunt for merch, because you could get merch for proving that you'd played games.
That's right. Yep.
I think we covered over. I was there on the Thursday, and then obviously we were all there on the Friday together. Probably about 50 of the games that were on offer.
Yeah.
And not one bad one. I can't think of anyway that was there. So.
No, I think fortunately, I mean, there was one or two I saw that had technical issues, but that comes with this sort of stuff. That isn't due to the developer doing anything wrong or making a poor product. That just comes down to sheer, misfortune more than anything else. A lot of the time it's a controller that, was working when you had it set up at home, dev kit, testing your game, and then you bring it with you with the kit and all the rest of it, set it all up, and suddenly the controller won't communicate with the console or the PC. Like, well, what am I meant to do now? I have to go run out now and buy a cheap, Mad Cats or something like that from, nearby shop somewhere, hopefully, and fingers crossed it works. So no, I saw one or two booths with those sort of issues, but otherwise, no. I mean, everything I had the chance to sit down and play, and actually I played less than the three of you did. You guys really did the circuit whilst we were there. But no, I had some great experiences with a lot of the games I played there. Mark, what were your sort of first impressions of going into the event? What did you feel about the space and just the general layout and would you be happy for it to be the same again, or would you maybe want to see it set up slightly differently, maybe in a different location? Don't have to have one in mind, just your general thoughts on the event itself before we get into the games.
Yeah, overall, I felt the event was really solid. And as you mentioned, Harry, it was first time for New Game Plus. But I think what V put in her article about it probably needing a bigger space, which is only a testament to the amount of people that turned up for it, both developers and public and press. It was great. It was a bit busy. Would have been great to get easier hands-on games, but to be honest, just being a Friday in London, that's going to have a big pull. And there was lots of people there trying to get hands-on with a lot of different stuff. But the venue was nice. There was lots going on. There was sessions for people that wanted to get in the industry as well, which I thought was a good touch. So it wasn't just like a games calm kind of come and play games. There was things there for all different audiences, be it developers, press, public. It was a really solid event, and the amount of games there were really diverse range. There was things from football related, there was shooters, there was loads of indies. There was just everything going on, and overall, I thought it was a really solid part of the bigger London Games Fest. So yeah, be more than happy to go back next year. And you're right, it was a very reasonable price of admission too.
Yeah. Honestly, I think that's a really important part of it is the fact that, for quite a few of these events, I think, at least, they used to be, some of them have shrunk over the years, like EGX is one of the bigger ones that we get here still, but it's on the slow decline, unfortunately. It now tends to pair up with MCM, Comic-Con stuff just to kind of take a venue, basically. But a lot of those ones, their tickets can be a bit more expensive, and I think that can price people out when they have to add on travel and possibly accommodation if they've come from quite far. So having tickets at I think a day ticket for this was what, £15 or something like that. $20 for American audiences, I imagine something close to that. It wasn't drastic.
Yeah. It was
Um,
£15 for an individual day,
mm,
25 for the both days. Or
yeah.
you could buy an industry pass. I'm not sure if you had to then prove you were part of the industry because it got you into a
Mm,
separate part of the event. But I think that was £99, which actually even then is quite cheap if you're sort of like just breaking into the games industry, but you're
yeah.
not an exhibitor or anything like that for 2 days of networking and being able to talk to other people within the industry. So
Yeah, yeah, there were quite a few sort of interesting opportunities there. And again, as we mentioned, there were also things like talks going on. I believe they had. I always forget how to say the name of the team because it's sort of Ustwo or something like that, which is the developers of the Monument Valley series. Um, they were there, and they were talking, I think, about Monument Valley 3, the sort of history of the studio and the series, and their general experiences of working in the industry. Um, and going from mobile to different platforms and all manner of things. So there's a lot of interesting stuff going on there, and that's then not even including, as we said, like the 70 plus games that are there, nearly all of which had at least a member of the team, the development team there. If not, they had a member of their sort of PR related team or a publisher or something like that. So there was nearly always a representative there to speak to, which was really exciting and interesting, and meant that you could get some interesting insights about the games and um, again, great opportunity for us to make contact and network a little bit and hopefully get some more sort of time with the developers, more time with the games, and more information for you, the viewer slash listener, um, you know, to enjoy. Um, but yeah, so we all plan on releasing kind of highlight articles, don't we, about a couple of the games that we thought will kind of stand out. I think we all went in already with an article actually Mark did last week, which covered the ones that we were excited to play. I think we all pretty much got to do that. Um, Obviously, all of this is said without Adam here, unfortunately, so we can't speak on his behalf. But for all intents and purposes, I think saying he had a good time isn't too much of a stretch. Um,
and not
so
just because we went to his favorite curry house,
yes, he did. He took us to a very, very nice curry house. I believe it was called the Cinnamon Tree. I don't actually know what part of London we're in at that point in the evening because we took an Uber. Um,
I think we were close to
Yeah.
Farringdon. Yeah.
mm, but that was lovely. So shout out to the Cinnamon Tree near Farringdon or in Farringdon. You did right by us. But no, otherwise, yeah, we are going to be doing some more coverage for the site. And again, the majority of what we do is written for the site. So if you are interested in a lot of what we do here, we do recommend going over and checking it out. But yeah, we will talk about a couple of the games. Obviously, we got maybe a chance to play whilst we were there. And yeah, you can look forward to some other things that will come out as the weeks go on. But yeah. Does anyone have a game in mind they want to maybe highlight now, as opposed to one they maybe have it lined up for an article and like that? Feel free to drop it here if you want to. Obviously, just wanted to see what people were feeling. I've got one ready if people I haven't got one, but go for it
No,
if
you
anybody wants
go.
to go first.
You can go first. If you've got one ready, you might as
Yeah,
well.
the one that I wanted to highlight here, I won't be writing about it, but one that I did enjoy because it was this perfect marriage of sort of what a lot of people relate to as like the cozy genre. Well, yeah, the cozy sort of games, as it were, which very much is a genre, but I don't think people understand it as it's not a gameplay genre. It's a genre as far as aesthetics are concerned. I think more now than anything else, cozy game. It tends to kind of describe more the visuals of actually something and the vibe than the actual gameplay. But I played Trash Goblin, which was a really delightful little kind of crossover between like a shop sim type game where you're selling items from a shop to travelers and explorers and stuff like that. And it's sort of then blended with power simulator style gameplay as you have to then kind of brush up, clean up the items themselves before you go and put them on the shop counter to try and then pawn to people, to visitors. And I think there's a little bit of haggling involved there as well. It was quite early on in the demo that I played it, so I don't think they got quite round to that. But I got the impression that you might be able to do things like haggle later on. which would be interesting. But yeah, I really like the setup of it. You know, you're in your little booth, and essentially it's all first person, and you just switch between the four quadrants of the building, where there's the sort of the window you sell all your goods from. You have your kind of inventory area where you will pick stuff up, put it onto um, a table, physically pick it up using the mouse, click it to drop it, and then start wiping off dirt and moving the object around in a 3D space to clean it all up and chip away at, you know, bits of rock that are stuck to it and things like that with different tools. And then there's the owner who you work for, right, who's sort of there to help you and give you advice and stuff like that. And then you have your sleeping quarters, because it's all run on a sort of day cycle, which was very charming. And it just, again, really quintessential cozy vibes with very feel good kind of, serotonin producing gameplay of like, the item's all cleaned up, hits 100%, it sparkles, it looks lovely, put it on the counter, and the person's like, oh yeah, that's exactly what I want, I'll give you this much gold, and you're like, yep, I'll take it, like, you know, done deal. There was something nice about that, and I could see it being the sort of game where narratives could like kind of unfold from the characters that you're selling these items to, like returning customers. You could start learning about these sort of interesting characters, perhaps, as well as kind of maybe getting an understanding of, you know, where all this stuff's coming from and all manner of things. There's still a lot to kind of learn about the world, and I'm just through the sheer structure of the game's design, where you're not having to go and find the stuff yourself and things like that. It does lead me to question like, oh, what's going on here? Like, where's this going? And I hope that there is like more to it like that. I hope it's not just a simple, kind of very simple loop. But from what I played, I enjoyed that. It kind of hit that same Power Wash Simulator kind of feel good factor, and then had the charm and sort of silliness to it all that again brings a smile to my face. So yeah, that's the one I wanted to highlight here. Definitely, just because I remembered it very much. So I think it was the first one I even sat down to play. And yeah, I really enjoyed that. Who wants to go next?
Mark, have you got one in mind?
Yeah, I've got a couple, and they're both quite short. So the first one is something called Time Flies, which would have never have heard of probably had I not gone to London Games Fest. And was a really short title. I can imagine when it finally releases, it's only going to be like an hour of somebody's time, but that's kind of the beauty of it. Essentially, you play as a little fly, and the game tries to represent how little time we have on this planet as humans. So as playing as a little fly, you've got to go around learning instruments by trying to strum a guitar in somebody's house, or learn to get a record deal by spinning around as a little fly on someone's vinyl player, making friends by basically flying up against somebody's toes who's asleep in bed. It's just kind of like little representations of the beauty, the wonderful things in life, and how little time we got to do it. And as the fly, you've got about 80 seconds life to do everything, and it's just really cute. Really, it's probably going to be, like I say, about an hour's long game when it finally comes out, but it's something I'd love to get through. And that's coming to PlayStation, Switch, and PC sometime this year. And then the second one to highlight is something that I played in my childhood called Platypus, and I would have never ever remembered it even existed. It's been probably 25 years since I did play it, and when we got to London Games Fest, it's the first thing that I seen, and I said to Adam, "Oh my God, I remember that from when I was a child. I had it on a PC CD-ROM." And it's basically like a shmup, left to right shmup, and everything in the background and the foreground is painstakingly made in real life with clay, and it's 3D animated.
Oh wow!
Um, and since the show, I've been on the developer's site and been watching videos on how they've created some of that, and it's incredible. It's like Wallace and Gromit kind of clay motion stuff. So been reaching out to the PR rep for the game and hoping to get an interview locked in with the developer sometime in the near future. But yeah, just two things that I didn't expect to see, but come home really hoping to see again in the future. So I guess that's the beauty of these these kind of shows, right?
Absolutely.
It was the
yeah.
original dev that's come back to remake it, isn't it? For Platypus.
I think that's what the rep said. I think, but
Yeah.
pretty sure. Which is, I think she said that he may have bought the rights out to do it and bring it all back. So yeah, shout out to the PR rep. She was very, very nice as well. So
No, that's great.
Fantastic.
Is that PC only? Is that going to convince you to get a PC, or is it coming to console?
it's coming to Xbox. So she's definitely going to. The company are
Phew.
definitely going to be hearing from us.
Phew,
But yeah, I
dodged a
think it's coming
bullet.
to all consoles.
Absolutely. What about you,
Yeah,
Zeb?
I think I've got a few that I will be talking about in my article that I don't want to cover here, so I like to go into a little bit more depth. But one of the ones that I had a really good time with, and then had to get up and leave because I was like, I could probably just sit and play this all day. But also because it is a puzzle game, I did get stuck at one point and was like, I'm going to have to get up and leave because it's embarrassing because I can't do maths and there's people looking at me. Was a game called Electrogic. I can't say it. It's like electrogical. So it's like electro and logical pushed together, but I'm probably mispronouncing it. But that was there as part of the Bit Summit roadshow. So that's the first collaborator with New Game Plus. As I mentioned in my article, it was Bit Summit, which is like a Kyoto-based indie game festival, and they were showcasing just a small selection of Japanese indie games. And it's like a puzzle placement. So you get like little jigsaw pieces that are worth certain numbers, either plus or minus, or dividing things and stuff like that. And you have to create the number at the end by making your own little equation, but also making the pieces fit. And when you do that, then a little electrical cat creates the circuit. And it's just super cute. It's like that little touch doesn't need to be there. It doesn't do anything for the gameplay, but it just makes it just a really endearing and it's like very simple aesthetic, but it's like super simple and super clean, and but just really, really cute. And yeah, from the first 10 or so levels I think I played, because again I would have sat there all day. Someone would have had to come and find me to drag me off to the pub. But it wasn't it didn't ramp up to like quickly, but I think like as it went on, like the puzzles, I think I just got up to a bit where you could then use Wi-Fi to move from one part of the board to another. So you have to then do multiple equations and things like that to try and get to the end of it. But yeah, I just thought it's a really simple premise that was executed so well, and just the graphics, all the attention to detail, and just as you say, a little bit with the vibe, like for Trash Goblin, it's just the vibes were great. So I'll definitely be picking that up whenever it drops on Steam, and then no one will be there to see me really struggle with very simple maths. So I'll have a much easier time of it because I'll not be like, what's like trying to remember, what is it, BODMAS, like brackets over division, etc. I'm like,
yeah.
oh no, this is it's too complicated for me to think of in the middle of the day when there's people looking at me. I'm gonna have to go.
Yeah, that's the real challenge, isn't it? Would you rather do a complex mathematical equation, not even complex, just stuff you should be able to do,
if
or
it's not hard,
or
and
fight
I
this,
feel so
or fight,
stupid when
yeah. Do you fight the souls boss, or do you do the simple math problem with people watching? Like that's the rock and
yeah,
hard
just give
place
me
right there.
Yeah, give me Melania any day. Give me Consort Radan any day of the week. I do that in a room full of people just looking at me, then having to do like high school, like, and I'm talking really early high school level algebra, and being like, no idea what's going on.
Yeah. Oh God, no. What have I done? Flashbacks to school. Yeah. But no, actually, one thing you mentioned there as well, vibes. Vibes is definitely something I feel like indie games. I've always been the purveyor of vibes in video games, but like really right now, there is such a kind of big thing for so many video games, just in particular indies, going for a certain aesthetic, not even one that's pre-established, but often, they'll go for a cool like 80s synth vibe, or they'll go for that cozy vibe or whatever it is. But like capturing a feeling like that and getting a sense of like a world or a sort of a state of being in a game. Indie games are getting so good at that now. Like, and I think it's because they have to be, in order to kind of grab people. You don't have the option to have long drawn out trailers which start with your publisher and your developer logos that people recognize and get excited over. So they've really got to kind of make themselves seen and heard, and a lot of that comes through that kind of having that kind of confidence, I think, to just grab hold of something like that and go for it. So yeah, there's a lot of games like that. Again, one of my ones that I'm hoping to hear back from the developer on is one I'd love to highlight, which is very much a vibes-based game. And I know Mark and I think both played a game there, and you've heard back from the developer on that game. And that's another one I would look at and go like, yeah, this game has such vibes. Like, it's so much, you really just get soaked up in it, and it feels so good to play it. But I won't obviously spoil that because that's to come in future stuff. Before we move on to the next subject, I think we have enough space to maybe mention one last game each if we wanted to, or anything else we wanted to say before we move on. I wanted to mention real quickly another game, because I think it's a really kind of interesting situation with this one in particular, where it's a game called Fireside Fables, and it's a 3D platformer in the most classic of ways, which is near and dear to my heart immediately. As soon as I saw it, I was like, oh, I have to play this. And sitting down with it, I was like, yeah, I was right too. This feels great. It's still it's early-ish on, but feels really good. And was one of those games where I sat down and played it for the 10-15 minutes I had, got a chance to speak to one of the developers, and I said to them like, oh, it really feels like this is the sort of way it's going to go. And he was like, yeah, that's exactly what we plan to do with it. And I'm like, great, I already understand this game. And my own sort of intuition being good enough to recognize like this has been designed like this for the demo. How they want it to play when it comes to the full release is going to be slightly different. And recognizing that, I was like, yeah, I see where you're going with this, and I like that. But the big thing about this game is the fact that it's a UK-based developer, and I haven't got, actually, you know what? Sod it. I'm going to break the fourth wall for a second, ladies and gentlemen. Bear with us.
Post MIA. Oh gosh.
Yeah. There's no way I would be able to get away from my PC right now and find anything from the Games Festival. Like, it's all in a pile somewhere over there. Like,
yeah, sorry, yeah, I had to cut away to pick up all the different bits and bobs that we're picking up, obviously, from all the different stalls and such, because I wanted to make sure I shouted out this dev at the moment in particular. I believe, oh my god, I've got so many. So many. Which one was it? There we go. Inkforge Studios. I believe it's, yep, that looks to be right. Yes, Inkforge Studios is the studio name. And Fireside Fables is the game. And what's interesting about this studio is that they are working in partnership with a hospice here in the UK, a very, very well-known one called St. Albans Street Hospital, sorry, which is a children's hospital, if I remember correctly.
yeah.
And this is their second game in partnership with them. Their first title was again they did in partnership with them, and it was all, I think it was 100%.
I'll be no, yeah, the first game was called I'll Be Brave Tomorrow, the 2D platformer, and it was 50% of the profits from that game went to Great Ormond Street Hospital.
That's right. And then this one, Fireside Fables, I believe, is they're doing the same thing again. With 50%?
25% for this one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So a really, really great partnership and again, very wholesome sort of games that they're developing as well, which is lovely. Games very much for children to play, which is great, but also a really fantastic cause. Like, honestly, you couldn't pick a better one with St. Albans Street Hospital. They are, quite frankly, iconic here in the UK, and for good reason. So yeah, I just wanted to shout them out really quickly.
They do have a Kickstarter. Just if we're shouting them out, Fireside Fables does have a Kickstarter. I posted about it on my personal Twitter and Blue Sky account, because I spoke to Thomas, the lead developer from Inkforge Studios on the first day that I was there, because he was actually a patient at St Ormond Street Hospital, or Great Ormond Street Hospital, sorry, from a very young age, which is why they're doing all this. But yeah, if you're interested in it, we'll leave the link to the Kickstarter down below, because it is a really, well, as Harry said, it's a really fun game, and it's a really great cause to support. So
yeah, it really, really nice to highlight stuff like that. I feel, it's part of the reason why we do what we do, honestly, is to kind of be able to do that, because I think for a lot of people that otherwise they wouldn't have even known that was the case, even if they'd heard of the game. So, it's important to get those sort of details out there. So yeah, and now that I think about it, we'll mention all of these games and developers and stuff like that. I feel like we'll probably end up doing something very quick in the description below so that people can find them, because we've done a good job of mentioning everything, but I know I've definitely missed out a developer here and there. So want to make sure that everybody gets their due. But yeah, do either of you have anything else you want to highlight before we move on?
I've got one, if that's all right. And
Yeah, go for it.
Since you just mentioned it, about games for like a good cause, and for like that have like a reason to exist, with Fireside Fables. One that I had on my radar before the event was To a T, an Annapurna game, which is coming to console. I'm sure it's coming to Game Pass. But before playing it, I'd never really given it a thought, to something I've read online since about how it's good kind of somewhat of a good indicator of what it must be like to live with a disability. And for those who are listening to the podcast, To a T is a game where you're playing as a character who's basically stuck in a T motion like this with their arms. They're constantly stuck out, and they're trying to just do the most mundane tasks like brushing their teeth or getting around the house, getting ready for school. Although I kind of played the demo at London Games Fest, enjoyed it, I never really give it a thought about what that must be like for a real person living with a disability. So that's kind of stuck with me ever since. And I think it was a Eurogamer article that wrote about it in that way. But since reading that article, you know what, it's made me want to play the game even more. So, and yeah, really looking forward to that one. Hopefully, I think it's May it's coming out. So yeah, not too long to go now.
Yeah. I mean, again, it's amazing how something as simple as that, the idea of just a T pose, can lead to such an interesting and valuable kind of insightful conversation. And hopefully something that can, yeah, as you say, kind of broaden people's minds a little bit to these sorts of things. What about you, V? Anything else you want to highlight quickly?
I see. I feel like I don't have one that's highlighting like a really good cause or something that's, that people should be thinking about. But I suppose maybe going back to the conversation that we had a little bit about vibes. One of the games that was there over the weekend that I spent probably too much time talking to the dev about. He's probably just like, why is she over at me again? It was a game called Moroi. And it's the complete antithesis to the other games that we've been talking about in terms of cozy vibes and things like that. Alex, who was the developer, was very heavily inspired by the work of David Lynch, and it shows. It is incredibly, I think probably the best way I've heard it described while we were there was another guy was talking to the dev who called the game juicy, but in the most horrible way that you can think of. Just everything was very gristly and visceral. It's a top-down hack and slash, and there's some really fun and interesting puzzles and things like that in it. But yeah, the visuals really really eye-catching. The gameplay itself is really really fun, and if you like that sort of very surrealist, almost horror aesthetic, then I think you'll love it. It's coming out in May, and there is a demo that will probably be featured on the future demo disc for May. But yeah,
Absolutely.
the team was really lovely, and just in terms of going on games from vibes alone. As soon as I saw it when I walked in, I was like, I'm going to have to play that. That looks kind of gross, and I love it.
Yeah, it was definitely eye-catching, and I think there was a decent amount of time where all four of us were standing around just sort of watching it. Uh, if we're going to like 5-10 minutes, yeah, that looked like a lot of fun. Didn't get a chance to play it myself, but yeah, definitely something I look forward to. And yeah, you mentioned the demo disc. Like, yeah, a lot of these games are the sort of things that one or two of I think already featured, funny enough, on demo disc issues that we've had, and then there will definitely be more that will come to our demo disc articles over the months. So yeah, keep an eye out for those as well. They're another great way for you to discover new games, and it's a way that we try to highlight ones that you may have not come across before. You may find your next favorite one. Who knows? Uh, so yeah, but yeah, with that, I think that's going to finish us there for the New Game Plus conversation. We've got, I think we've got two stories, but we'll see how it goes. We may just do one. We'll think about it. But I know that what the game we wanted to talk about, at least for the three of us, was South of Midnight, which released on the 8th, if I'm correct, or was it yesterday? It was full release.
Yeah, I think it was the 8th, I think.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I feel
it's
it
hard to
was
tell because
early
because of
access.
the paid early access.
Yeah,
I get confused when games actually release now.
exactly. Yeah, that was the third, if I remember. I was like, I feel like it's 5 days that they often do for like the early access period. So I imagine it was the 8th. But yes, so obviously for us here at the site, Dano is the one who actually reviewed the game and has done all of the guides that we have up on the site right now. So if you are currently enjoying South of Midnight or are looking to start playing it, um, please check those out. Great guy, great review from Dano. He spent a lot of time in that game, as is evident from all of the guides he's done, covering the readable collectibles through all the chapters, all of the health upgrades, and a couple of the combat ones as well. So yeah, a lot there to help you on your journey through the sort of the deep Cajun South, which we've all three of us have been enjoying as well. Um, I have put in about 3 or so hours. I think I'm coming to the end of the third chapter, and I believe there's about 16 or so chapters, something like that. I think that's what I've heard.
That's what I've heard.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I'm really, really enjoying this game. This is absolutely the sort of game that I adore. Um, I not only appreciate the visual style of the game, and it's a beautiful game, and very imaginative, very creative, and clearly steeped in all the material and all the lore and stories and culture that South of Midnight is sort of built around and made of. Seeing how it is a sort of celebration of the Deep South and its sort of folklore and history and something that I personally have very little knowledge of. So I was excited to go into this not as an enthusiast, but as someone who was like, oh, cool, like finally something that for me I feel like gives me an opportunity to learn more about something I know very little about, without having to go and just read a big long textbook or go and watch a long documentary about it. As much as those would be fine, if a game can deliver something like that to me, all the better. But immediately I really vibed with the main character Hazel. The voice acting is excellent. All the character voice acting is superb. I love all the accents and the little kind of colloquial bits and bobs, similar to Adam talking last time about Atomfall and his appreciation for all the like regional stuff and everything like that. And it's like, yeah, when you hear it, even as someone who doesn't know it myself, it's interesting and fun to hear, and it gives it that sense of authenticity, which again goes a long way. Um, and again, as far as sound is concerned, the music is stellar. It really is. It's I've never heard music being used in this sort of way before, with the way it builds and follows the narrative that you are going on with Hazel. And I've just got to the moment where it's coming to the sort of a crescendo at the end of the chapter, and all of the music is coming together, and it's now sort of going through the retelling of everything that I've been picking up and learning about in the last chapter or so. And yeah, it just doing the little her little kind of float kind of glide action when Hazel like jumps into the air, and then you can press the B button and she'll sort of do a little skip and then glide across on her like sort of spectral cloak type sort of weave thing. When she does that, every time she does that, you hear the little whisper of her name being said through, and everything like that. And it's little things like that. It's the constant, connections to how she is a weaver who can see the threads of life and the world and how it all works. And she's kind of becoming aware of all this stuff on her journey. Like, yeah, it's brilliant. I know that as far as reviews are concerned and things like that, it's been getting very good reviews, but people are saying things like, the combat is, lackluster or, just sort of serviceable. For me, I think it's good. I think it's good combat. I don't think it's, sort of boring or mediocre. I'm only 3 or so hours in, so I may have a different feeling about that. But as of right now, I like all the tools I have at my disposal. I'm already dealing with, nearly half a dozen or so different enemies in just a few hours. And I'm not finding it easy. I'm playing on the recommended difficulty, and I'm getting hit. I'm taking damage. I'm needing my health upgrades. And yeah, actually, whilst I think about health and health upgrades, I immediately, when I started playing this, also turned off the HUD. So it only came up during combat because the game looks so damn good. I didn't want anything else on screen when I was running around. I just wanted to have the world in front of me. So I did that. And there's, again, a lot of great accessibility options and stuff like that. Anyway, that's enough from me. V, I know you were playing at the same time as me last night, and you played about the same amount or maybe a little bit more. I know you're ahead of me.
Yeah, I just got to the end of chapter 3 and then I had to go to bed.
Yeah.
Not that it did me much good, but I did go to bed.
More time for gaming lost, damn. No, but what are your thoughts? Let's hear them.
Well, I think you've kind of covered quite a lot of it. I don't know if Mark and I are going to be able to elaborate much more on that. But yeah, just again, it looks spectacular, and I think I completely agree that it's so nice to see like a story that you've not really seen before in video games. There's so many big games that have come out over the past like sort of 5-6 years, and they all draw from the same sort of vague source material and things like that. Got a lot of things focused in about Norse mythology now all of a sudden with God of War and Ragnarok and even like Valhalla. So like Norse mythology got big, so we had to have 20 games about it. So it's really refreshing to see a game from a big publisher like Xbox that's just a completely different story that you've not really seen before. Because like you, I'm not really familiar with the folklore or anything like that of the Deep South or anything like that. So I think it's just been really, really fun. Although I'm not going to spoil the story for anything for anybody, but obviously a lot of the things I've been talking about are pretty heartbreaking. I was quite upset actually at the end of chapter 3. But obviously, just the whole premise of being a weaver and trying to take away the pain of the tapestry or repair the tapestry by healing people's pain means that I think you're always going to be in situations which are not necessarily pleasant when it comes to dealing with loss or grief or just some of the horrible things that people do to each other. But yeah, I think it's just really, really fun. I think the traversal is fantastic, as you said. But I will say, as someone who plays quite a lot of combat focused games, I am finding the combat just a little bit lacking. So I think sometimes I feel like some of the powers, I'm only playing it on the recommended difficulty. I'm not finding it too difficult, but I think some of the powers, it's not clear what the range is on them. So you have your push, but I feel like you need to be quite close up in order for it to work. the Haint Hurlers, I believe they are called. And I will be taking no feedback on my accent today after spending 2 days with you guys in London last week. Um,
We were lovely.
but
We were charming.
but there's a tooltip when they first appear because they like spit something at you. But
Yes.
I don't know if it's just me, but that projectile after like a 20-second wind up comes out so fast to push it to repel it back. I'm like, am I an idiot? Am I doing something wrong? But I think that maybe the feedback on it is a little bit weird. And the pull, I feel like could probably, and I'm sure because you do have upgrades that I just don't currently have, but it's like, pull enemies towards you. And I'm like, I don't know, this feels very short range for me to be pulling anyone towards me. And maybe just the general wind up attack animations, I think I would prefer. Maybe just a little bit, camera's a little bit slow spinning. So I feel myself sometimes getting hit when I feel like I wouldn't normally. But I mean, it's a very small complaint and it's not really a combat focused game. It works and the powers are fun to use. Just, hopefully when they get the upgrades and things like that, there's just a little bit more diversity to it, I think. But that's, again, a personal thing for me who plays a lot of very heavily combat inspired melee games. But yeah, I would say play it with a headset on. I don't usually play games with a headset on. But just the sound design and the music, you owe it to yourself to really put the volume up, have your headset on, and just immerse yourself in the world. Yeah. Really enjoying it. Looking forward to completing it. I'm glad that Daniel's done guides for all the collectibles, or else I was just going to get stuck somewhere for like an hour, not seeing something.
100%. I've been using the guides a lot as well. Annoyed he didn't do a floof one, but totally understand because the man has a family and a life outside of video games. And
it's got a family, a life outside of video games, though.
Yeah, and hey, anyway, at the end of the day, as the now official guides editor, I guess it really does fall to me to make sure that sort of stuff happens now. So hey, there we are. But no, Mark, you have also played it for you say about an hour or so. What are your impressions of it then as well? Because obviously you haven't got quite as far as us, but you've experienced at least the setup to everything.
Yeah, I've done about an hour. I think I'm about halfway through chapter 2. Just got a few abilities, been following a ghostly family around a small village. So I'm not quite sure what emotional trauma I need to prepare for that V mentioned at the end of chapter 3, but
get some tissues. Just make sure there's some tissues at the side, you'll be fine.
And get them ready for tomorrow's session. But yeah, and shout out to Dano's guides. Even though I did walk past the first collectible in the game, and I can't go back, so I've got to replay the whole chapter. But that's my fault. So we'll do that when an end game mop up. But thoughts on the game? Largely what you guys have said so far. I've not got any of the combat abilities, and I think it does feel a bit repetitive. But I'm sure that will change a little bit with more abilities and more power-ups and more upgrades throughout the game. That said, nice to be playing a third-person action game that doesn't have a bow and arrow so far, because I'm bored to shit of that.
Absolutely.
Third-person game just has to have one of those these days. But traversal, as V mentioned, is very good, like really pretty impressive, and it feels fluid. The game runs pretty flawlessly at 60. Sound design so far so good, and looking forward to getting stuck back in. The narrative of the game, I'm only early on, but seems to be quite captivating. The story of a mother-daughter relationship, which is not that common in games. I find quite often games it's more kind of son-father relationships, and I think there's a big difference in that. So looking forward to getting a bit more time in over the weekend. So far so good.
Yeah, it's definitely become the game I want to kind of try and play as much as I can outside of other things, and that's still with Atomfall and a vow to go back to Indiana Jones, and oh god, stop thinking about it, Harry. There's so many to go back to, but yeah, right now South of Midnight's totally got me in its grip, and I'm really enjoying it. I do understand and I can appreciate the combat kind of complaints. Sounds harsh, but I understand they're just critiques, and like I think they're fair as well. And I think it just comes down to where people's benchmark for what constitutes good combat, or or combat that feels right for the game that they're playing. Like if we were playing a game like this through all the traversal and the narrative and stuff like that, and then suddenly every combat encounter felt like a Dark Souls event, I'd be like, this isn't right. This doesn't feel good anymore. Like these things do not mesh. But I can see people being like, I've seen people saying like, oh, even just having like a parry would maybe make things feel a little bit more kind of like punchy, and a little bit more involved. I agree. I do agree with you, V, about the not being able to really judge distance of attacks and stuff like that. That's kind of tricky. And the enemy, I had a situation with an enemy, which was the one that I can't remember what they call it. It's not the hurler. It's the other one that spits out. Is it the spawner or something like that, or the nest? And you got the yeah,
The little
haints,
flies,
the little
the
fly,
larvas.
the
Yeah.
lava haints. Yeah, exactly. Those ones. I got the impression, my mistake, that you could only hurt them by throwing them back at the nest. And I spent a while just trying to line up shots, trying to use my ability to push the lava haint back into the nest to hurt it. And then I realized, oh, I can just go up and hit it. So yeah, after spending about 20 to 30 seconds just like constantly just trying to line myself up to hit it back directly at it, I was just like, oh, sod this, smack out the way, go up, smack, smack, smack. And that was fine. And I was like, cool, that's fine. Not everything has to be done by the specific cool mechanic it's been introduced to show. But yeah, the one thing I definitely have noticed with the combat is it's all just done in very basic arenas. I think something that maybe could have done with a bit of work, maybe is giving it some different sort of terrain environments to fight in. That could have added something to the combat itself. But otherwise, yeah, I'm looking forward to playing more of it and hope that yeah, it continues on at the level it is right now. I'm certainly in agreement with Dana's review for it. But yeah, any other final thoughts on South of Midnight? I think we might be wrapping up here, unless you guys feel particularly strongly about our last news topic. And I will hold up my hand and say it was my fault because I like to waffle a lot.
I was just going to say that I just think it's been well, I would say this because I'm a big Xbox fan, but I just think it's been a really good, diverse period of games coming out of Xbox. So Avowed, kind of first-person RPG. We had Indiana Jones just before Christmas, which was fantastic. We've had South of Midnight, third-person, kind of AA plus tier game, kind of 10 to 15 hours. Third-person adventure, which has been excellent. There's more to come later in the year. I just think it's been a really good period for Xbox. I think they've hit their stride. Everyone's getting to lap this up in Game Pass. And yeah, everything going on with the Activision titles, with Tony Hawk's coming out soon, Call of Duty continues to thrive. It's just a really good period for the platform, I think. And wherever it may be, you're playing Xbox's games, that is. So yeah, it's been a good spell.
Absolutely, yeah, I agree. And as somebody who, yeah, has been enjoying a lot of games via Xbox, and most of them through Game Pass as well, which I think, again, credit to them. The service works. It's great. I've played all, I think, the games we just mentioned. I will probably be playing Blueprints through it as well. And yeah, 33 Immortals is another one to add to that list, which obviously we've been loving here. So yeah, whether it's the games that they have funded directly themselves and published and all the rest of it's one of their teams, or it's a partnership that they've just done for Game Pass and like that, I think Xbox are doing a fantastic job. And yeah, I mean, they've basically carried practically nearly this first half of 2025, alongside third-party publishers putting out stuff here and there. Obviously, with Monster Hunter Wilds and Kingdom Come Deliverance 2, and things like that. But yeah, with Outer Worlds 2 seemingly being this year, Doom: The Dark Ages, Towerborn is another one that's coming early access to Game Pass that I think people can start pre-installing. There's still a lot to come, and we have a showcase at some point. That was going to be our other story. I think we're running a bit over time though, but yes, there is a Xbox showcase / Outer Worlds 2 showcase happening. Do either of you just have the date in
I
front
think
of you
it's
by any chance?
June 8th, I believe.
Yeah, that sounds right to me as well. But yeah, so that was what we were going to chat about, and we were just going to have a big fun speculation party about that one. Maybe we'll do that next week. Who knows? But yeah, we wanted to obviously cover everything we did at New Game Plus because that was a big deal for us. The first time that any of us got to meet each other in person, which was really fun, and it went so well. It probably will happen again, which would be great. We're already looking to line ourselves up with more fun adventures and stuff like that. And yeah, otherwise, yeah, we wanted to talk about South of Midnight. And yeah, we will talk about the showcase in the future. And of course, we always finish our episodes with what's coming up for the site. We've kind of already alluded to a bunch of things. We're going to have a lot of content around the New Game Plus stuff that we've got coming up. So keep an eye out for all of that. We've got reviews lined up, as you heard from myself and V. Mark, again, has been an absolute mensch on the news for us. I know Adam, as our news editor, is very happy with that, given how busy he's been. You've definitely stepped up. Yeah, you've just been doing a great job, man. So really appreciate it. So definitely go and check out Mark's work there, guys. Please go and check out the stuff over on the New Game Plus side of things. And of course, you did a fantastic job covering all of the announcements from the III Initiative showcase that happened today, which we would have talked about maybe as well. But again, there were so many games in that were practically indied out, as we said at the beginning of this. So yeah, please go and check that out as well. V put a lot of work into that, and yeah, we really, really appreciate that. So
it's an awesome piece.
What was that, Mark?
Sorry, Harry. I just said it's a really awesome piece, and it got me back up to speed because I didn't have time to watch all of it today. So yeah, awesome piece.
Oh yeah, no, again, stellar job there, V. Thank you very much for that. And yeah, does anyone want to shout anything that they're looking forward to? Myself personally, I've just put out very quickly an Expedition 33 article covering the 5 character trailers to drop the last one today for Monaco. Or Monaco. I don't actually know the pronunciation of his name quite yet, but it's one of those. And so, yeah, I've done that to kind of get people up to speed on the characters for the game. I am so damn excited for that game. Having to sort of buy my time not being able to play it now. I know people have already got codes, and so knowing that it's out there in the wild is just like, yeah, it's like scratching my brain. But I will survive until the 24th. When I can actually start playing it. But yeah, anything you guys want to shout out that you're looking forward to that's coming up?
Well, I think I have been, and you can confirm this as our guides editor, but I think from conversations had over the last few days, I will be writing the guides for Blueprints as it comes through. Which I'm not sure how well is going to go, as we have confirmed earlier on. I am a bit of an idiot, so hopefully it will not be as difficult as some other puzzle games have been in the past, so that those can get up in a bit of a timely manner. We didn't get codes, so they will be as and when I am there to play it. But if you're looking for solutions to the puzzles in that, there will be guides coming up on the site soon, and obviously there will be the review and potentially some puzzle guides for Rosewater as well, as I work through the site backlog and not look at my actual gaming backlog, lest it overwhelm me and I have to like jump out the window or something.
No.
Yeah, just to talking about the III initiative, I'm like, can't open Steam. I'm going to wish list 45 games. It's going to be ridiculous. So
yeah, it was tough.
But yeah, there's lots of. I think we're all very, very busy on the site at the moment, so there's lots of good stuff coming up.
Hell yeah!
So
yeah.
stay tuned for that.
There's a reason why Adam and I have been given these swanky new titles. It's purely to start getting people in order, so we actually all start knowing a bit of what we're doing. But how about you, Mark? Anything you're excited about coming up?
I'm currently reviewing a game which called
Ooh.
Vinebound Tangled Together from publisher Celestia, who are well known for lots of cozy type games. It's like a cooperative couch co-op vampire survivors. Do people call them
Oh,
garlic
cool.
likes? I think so. So
Feel like
been playing
Heaven,
that.
I think, Vampire Survivors is sort of known as, isn't it?
Yeah, it's got that kind of feel. So 10-minute runs, but it's basically in a vegetable patch, and you're trying to kill vegetables that are attacking you. So it is very cute. I keep using that word cute today. Um,
All
We
these
all
indie
have.
games are too cute. That's what it is.
Yeah. Yeah.
but yeah, so hopefully have a review for that up relatively soon. But yeah, that's been good. The next couple of weeks, hoping to see Lushfoil Photo Sim, which was covered at well, will be covered in my write-up from London Games Fest. The game looks absolutely beautiful, and I can't wait to just sit and chill on the sofa with a beer and play that game. It looks so relaxing. And then, as Harry said, it's just everything from that's sat on my physical shelf is going to be sat there weeping at me while I spend a month playing Expedition 33. So the backlog grows, but the new games just keep coming, and you got to keep getting to them. So that's going to be the next few weeks for me.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't even want to think about the games I've been meaning that I was like excited for that I haven't even like got installed yet because another game came along or something like that. It's like, oh no, it is too much, as we said. But yes, that has been this week's GSC Weekly News Podcast. Thank you so much again for joining us. Um, we had the rigmarole at the beginning, so I won't bother you with all that again, but please check down in the description below for any information about what we talked about today, links to the site, links to socials, and all that good stuff. We really appreciate you coming along and joining us for these hour-long or so conversations, and we hope you get something out of it at the end of the day. We like doing it. But yeah, I think other than that, there's nothing else to say other than take care of yourselves, play some great games, and we'll see you all next week. Bye bye, everybody.
Bye, guys.
Well,